watching this web series called History and Society. And this episode they're talking about tattoos. And you know how I'm planning to get one soon?
Yeah.
I want to do some research before actually getting it.
Pretty sick.
Oh, but isn't the teacher gonna say something?
Look, it's a supply teacher and barely half the class is here because it's a snowstorm.
Hey man, what do you mean?
Welcome to this episode of History and Society. Today we're going to take a look at a $1.7 billion worth
And
industry.
after receiving thousands of your votes, you, the people, have selected the tattoo industry.
Hello, my name is William, this is Aaron, and that is Selection. Let's begin the show.
Tattooing has become a very popular trend. The earliest known tattooing example dates back from all the way to 300 BC.
The pioneers of tattooing were the Polynesian tribe. They called it tattoo, and they would wear it before entering a war. Men wore it when they were ready for adulthood, and highly ranked females wore it for beauty.
Let's take a look at some numbers, guys. 21% of Canadians have one tattoo. 17% of the people regret their tattoo. And then in the US, a large tattoo costs $150 an hour to design.
Interesting. People should not be judged of having a tattoo now, for there are many reasons, such as cultural, religious, celebrative, and even spiritual. But did you know before, tattoos were used to mark criminals?
Tattoos started out as black and white abstract designs with meaning, but over the years they started to become more detailed and with greater vibrancy and color.
Here are some popular styles. The tribal style, traditional black and white, portraits, pin-ups, black light tattoo, sleeve and full body tattoos, Japanese tattoos, and a bizarre way of tattooing is scar tattoos.
The technology of tattooing has changed from using a single needle attached to a bamboo stick to being able to use a multi-needle tattoo machine which is attached to a motor.
We were able to catch up with one of Markham's finest tattoo artists from Skin Science Studio to get answers for your tweeted questions.
My name is Justin Pereira. I've been doing tattoos for about 13 years, and my style is traditional black and gray.
Before we move on to the questions, can you please show us your tattoo and explain what it means?
I did my first tattoo on me when I was about 16, 17. That was my left hand, so fun stuff. It's a guardian angel for my mother, so I put guardian angel with my initials on top and then basically her name at the bottom, and it's just basically, so she knows that even when I can't look after her, I got someone looking after her name and her, right, so.
Our fans tweeted us thousands of questions, but we picked the best 3 questions. Rahim Ahmed wants to know if you had any canvas walkout during a session.
I had one girl walk out. She got a butterfly on the back of her neck. I was doing the outline first. She got half of it done, and then the other half I was about to shade in, and she said, "No, I'm good." She dropped the money and just left. And so yeah, it was one of those things where I basically was stuck with a tattoo machine and paper towel in one hand, and she was gone, long gone. Like by the time I basically had to scrub, she was like, I couldn't even find her. I don't even know what happened to that time. Hopefully she got it fixed wherever she is in this world, yeah, so.
Jennifer Lopez wants to know the different methods of getting rid of a tattoo.
Well, usually there's laser tattoo removal, which basically is a laser that takes off all the ink from the skin, and it breaks down the pigments from the dermis. And then what I usually tend to do is I tend to go for basically cover-ups, because cover-ups are a lot easier on the pocket and also, for a cover-up design. I would only suggest doing a laser removal if you don't want it at all and you never want to do another tattoo. Go ahead, but you gotta deal with the pros and cons, because once you get rid of it, then you're stuck with maybe a little bit of scarring, whatever the person did from before, right? So, just that.
And last but not least, Juan Rodriguez wants you to explain the prison style tattooing.
The Chicano style was basically a prison style. So what they would do is they would get piano wire or whatever wires they could get a hold of, and they would basically fashion their tattoo machines out of whatever parts they could get, like, radio transistor radios and stuff that had a motor that continually went and went and went. And then they would make their ink by basically getting like Bibles or pages or whatever they could, light it on fire, burn it down, put in a little bat or whatever they could find, and then add drips of water. So they would also put it in the windowsill to make sure that basically all the water evaporated. Once the water evaporated, you know, it would basically be a nice little paste, and then they would actually, if they wanted more consistency or to get it darker and stuff, they'd add 2 more drops of water or something, put it in the windowsill, evaporate more of the water and stuff, and then it'll get darker and darker and darker with age and stuff. So that's how they basically made their own inks in prison and stuff, which worked out pretty cool because some of the greatest gray wash work is based off that style, and as I said, that's why they're running the game right now, because they're just so good in ingenuity and just working together.
And as you may have noticed, this show is not complete without the society's point of view. Therefore, we decided to go visit Middlefield Collegiate Institute to interview the students and teachers and get their opinions and possibly get a few pictures of their tattoos.
My name is Rubina.
Samiksha.
All right. Hi, I'm Mr. O'Neill.
My name is Elliot.
My name is Miss Bakshi.
Do you have a tattoo?
Yeah.
I have 6 tattoos.
Yes, I do.
No.
No, I do not have a tattoo.
What is the meaning of that tattoo, and what does it mean to you?
And then I have one right here on the collarbone.
Yeah, so I have this one here, and I know you're going to ask me about what these mean. So this one says coexist, made up of a number of different symbols, including some religious symbols here. I got this one about 2.5 years ago. And I also have this one here, which says peace and love, again, made with a number of different religious symbols and then the idea of coming together. I also have one here that's, this one is an Irish symbol. It's a symbol of Trinity. And it's a pagan symbol, but it's also a symbol used today for Christianity, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And this one is one that's actually from the bottom of the Canadian coat of arms and represents the different founding nations of our country. So it's got the shamrock for Ireland, the fleur-de-lis for the French, thistle for the Scottish, and the rose for the English. And then I have one that represents my own family background, and it's got my Irish, Scottish, and English side, as well as the red hand represents the O'Neill family, and then the leaves for Canada.
Well, this one here was in celebration of my sobriety, because I quit drinking and using any drugs. This one here is because of my mom, because Big Al, there's a character called Big Al, and it happens to be a bear. And this one here is a belief I have that everybody should reach out and help others. So it's like wrapping around, like a big hug.
Yeah.
Okay? This one here is just, when I was younger, everybody called me Big Al and I didn't like it. But eventually I got to the point where I accepted it and I got tattooed. And the cross is because, like I mentioned before, because of my Christian background, I have a very strong belief. And then the eagle is my Harley Davidson's symbol, and of course the heart is because of my wife. And I love her.
Would you get a tattoo?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. I think if you asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said no. But I think if you asking me today, I would say yes, it's a possibility. Yes, so yes, it would be a possibility.
What has changed your view on tattoos?
Change my opinion. You know, and I think it really reflects on what society used to think about tattoos. Tattoos were viewed as something that was for a person who was rebellious, a person who didn't conform to society, a person who just, you know, wasn't on the good side of the street. Now we see a tattoo is so common among so many people in so many socioeconomic levels. They are professionals, they are leaders, they are people in all levels of government, all levels of work. and education, that really a tattoo has become something now that's a personal thing and is not viewed in this negative manner. It's now viewed in a positive manner. So I think that's really what's changed, and I think for myself, that's brought me to this point as well.
What are your barriers?
I'm scared it's gonna hurt. My parents.
What is your view on tattoos?
My view on tattoos is that, you know, they can be appropriate. I think you have to be cautious about when you're getting them, making sure it's something you actually want to have for the rest of your life.
What is your opinion on high school students getting a tattoo?
I wouldn't recommend it until, first off, they have a clear idea of what they want and why they want it and whether it might affect them in the future. Like with me as a teacher, you know, they can't do anything to me because I happen to have tattoos, because it would be prejudice or bias. But if you were working for a company and they wanted you to present like working in the bank or that, I don't think they'd want visible tattoos. So you gotta be concerned, because some people get tattoos, you know, like on their neck, on their face, places where it's visible. And
I wouldn't necessarily encourage high school students to have tattoos. Let's say I've had discussions with students who, you know, remind them that a couple of years ago, let's say they were totally into One Direction or Justin Bieber, and maybe they're not anymore. And yet at that time, that was the most important thing in their lives, and they've moved on. Just like if they had a boyfriend or a girlfriend and that person was really important to them, and then they move on, and now they're stuck with this for a long time. And so I think to be cautious about it. The first one I got I was about 30 years old, and I thought about it for about 5 years before that. So I would make sure it's something you know is going to that you are going to want for a long time before you have this done, because essentially, you know, you're sticking a permanent mark into your skin.
Dad!